So why has the Cracker Barrel changes become such a big thing online and in our culture right now? Let's take a look at that. Pastor Marty, welcome to the afternoon drive. Thank you so much for watching. Please make sure that you're subscribed to the channel, and once you are, smack the bell, click the word all. That will give you notification of my rants, my ravings, my undeniably flawless reasonings. Please like and share this video. It's really the only way that we can get the word out that we're here. Thank you so much for watching. Thank you for being a part of the afternoon drive. I've already done a full video on this subject matter, and so I really don't want to recover that ground. I actually, rather than breaking down what the CEO said and getting into some of the behind-the-scenes wokeness of Cracker Barrel, I want to come at it from a different angle. Someone asked me, legitimately, straight up, I get that some people are upset, but why has this become such a thing that's dominating news cycles and it's all over online and people just keep going off about it? What is this about? Well, I can tell you this. It's more than just what some on the left are trying to say. It's a mega meltdown, because in reality, there are comments coming from the left as well. We already pointed out that on the official DNC X account, they posted, yeah, we think the changes at Cracker Barrel suck too. Harry Hogg, who was the vice chair of the DNC until they created rules to boot him, kind of like, they kept Bernie away from getting the nomination, kind of like they coronated Hillary Rodham Clinton and that didn't work out, and they coronated Kamala Harris. That didn't work out. Yet they're the first ones to say Trump and the Republicans are out of their mind if they think elections can be cooked. Gee, maybe because we're looking at the cooks who do the cooking. Look what you do to your own candidates. You think that we don't put two and two together and understand you could do that to our candidates? But I digress. I think the real reason there has been this backlash is not just the fact that they upgraded their logo, and nobody really knew the history behind the old logo until it became a thing, and now we understand, who was actually in that logo. It's kind of like when Cracker Jack started tinkering with their logo, and immediately there was backlash. I think people were upset over the decorum changes and things at Cracker Barrel, but let's get honest. Everything is changing. The McDonald's that you and I grew up with as kids is not the same McDonald's today. It certainly doesn't look the same. The McDonaldland characters are gone. The idea of the speedy service, completely gone. I mean, you go into a McDonald's today, it looks like every other corporate store. You walk in, you punch your order into a kiosk, which is absolutely... there's no connection. There's no human connection there. There's no sense of community anymore. It's just type your order in, pick a number, sit down, and wait for the food to be brought to you, which was never on Ray Kroc's radar. And so we see all these things constantly changing. And let's be honest, people who say we need to get back to the good old days, we like a lot of the changes today. We like our cell phones. We like being able to stream what we want, when we want, where we want. We like Uber. We like Amazon delivery at our doorstep. We like a lot of the modern conveniences and the changes. But I want to get a little bit more philosophical about this, and you might even say theological about this. I think what the touchstone backlash on this was, everything else is around us is changing. And we kind of looked at something like, in this case, it happened to be Cracker Barrel, and say, can we have this one thing that doesn't change? This one thing that stays the same. I grew up in small town America in upstate New York. Nothing really ever changed there. Oh, you get new stores would come in, old stores would go out. There'd be a little bit of rebuilding and remodeling here and there. But for the most part, nothing changed. And while on one level that seems stuck, it seems in the past, it seems behind the times, there's something very solid and stable about that, especially if you're raising a family. There's just something very secure in that. I personally have had the opportunity to leave that small town. I lived and worked in the city of Chicago. I have lived and worked outside Orlando, Florida, outside Toledo, Ohio. Now I'm in Macon, Georgia, just south of Atlanta. I've had an opportunity to live all kinds of places and experience all kinds of things. And I can tell you, the bigger the places, the more things change. But every once in a while, I get on a plane and I go back to my hometown. I can still walk the neighborhoods blindfolded. There's something stabilizing about having certain things in our lives that don't change. And I think something like Cracker Barrel was for people who change is all around us and we can't stop it. Some of it we don't want to stop. Some of it we're pulling our hair out, pardon the pun, because it has changed so much. But here's this one thing, and this is where the CEO totally missed it, and I brought this out earlier. We have to be the Cracker Barrel of today and tomorrow. No, you don't. That's not the Cracker Barrel vibe. That's not the mission statement. That's not your brand. What was the brand? It was yesterday. It was yesteryear. My mother's parents lived in my hometown. And when they were first married, the town was much smaller than it was by the time I came along. And it was still very much, when they were young, a rural community. So they didn't have a garage on their property. They had an old barn. Because people back in the day, even if you lived in town, you had a horse, you had a buggy, and you had to have a place to keep it. You didn't keep it in a garage. You kept it in the barn. So my grandparents had a barn on their property. And in that barn were things that were, I'm sure, looking back now, probably priceless. Things in there over 100 years old. It was a building full of rusty treasure. And as a kid, I loved it. I loved going in there. I loved looking at everything. I loved the smell of it. I loved everything about it. That was Cracker Barrel. Yes, we know the things on the walls was cluttered. It was mismatched, and some of it didn't go together. Kind of like Grandma's house. You know, Grandma's house wasn't like your house. It wasn't like the house your parents were raising you in. Maybe it was, for that era, your home as a kid was modern with the shag carpet and the big console TV. You went to your grandparents' house, it still looked like something out of the 30s with an out-of-place TV in the corner. That was Grandma's house. And when the families got together to have a meal, sometimes you'd have to make the table longer and you would add chairs to the table. The chairs didn't all match. That's what Cracker Barrel was for this changing world where everything is just changing left and right constantly. You could go to Cracker Barrel and for a couple of hours sit in a rocking chair on the porch, play a game of checkers, Go in and sit at grandma's table, not a booth like it's Denny's. Sit at a table, even with mismatched chairs. Sit, eat, talk. No rush, no hurry. And the only distractions in the room are the things that you look at on the wall, which were great conversation starters. No TVs on the wall like we've got in modern restaurants like a Buffalo Wild Wings. Put your cell phone down. Put the distractions away. Like that closing line in the old Beverly Hillbillies theme song outro. Set you down a spell. Kick your shoes off. Y'all come back now. Here. That's Cracker Barrel. And it just totally blew itself up. And they don't understand the backlash. And the backlash is not about MAGA. It's about people on the left and the right saying, hey, some things give us stability by not changing. I am certain that there was a marketing decision, not necessarily a, hey, let's totally blow up our brand and what we're about. I think the CEO is a dingbat because she cackles and laughs like she's a little 12-year-old girl. But bottom line is, they were obviously maybe losing some revenue share. Did you ever think it wasn't because you had old stuff on the barn walls in there and the crackling fire and the iconic logo that wasn't what was keeping customers away or not having them come back? Maybe you had some poor service in some of your locations. You ever think of that? Maybe the food wasn't all that consistent in some of your locations. I already said that one of my experiences at a Cracker Barrel was taking my whole family there for Thanksgiving, and the stuffing was drier than sawdust. It was terrible. But we had been there one other Thanksgiving, and it was fantastic. It reminded me of Thanksgiving at Grandma's house. So maybe you got to do better quality control of your locations and who's running them and who's working there and the representation of what they're doing with your food product. Because Cracker Barrel was supposed to be really a simple concept. Heart attack on a plate. I don't know what else to tell you. Old-fashioned breakfast. Mealtime was fried chicken or chicken fried steak, a piece of ham, maybe a chunk of turkey, potatoes, lots of gravy, vegetable, biscuits, side dishes all made from scratch. And cook like grandma did it. That was the brand. Safe, simple, steady, unchanging. So that for a couple of hours in this maddening world of change, you could go someplace and sit and Cracker Barrel, you could triple your profits tomorrow if you would cue in that is what you do and do well. Market and advertise that rather than the change that no one wants.